All right. Well, I don't have the music for some reason. My
We're live.
producer board is half off. That's weird because microphone is connected to it. Microphone is working. The rest is off for some reason. All right. This is a Fred Lambert for the Electrek Podcast. New episode this week. And as usual, I'm joined by Seth Wintraw. How are you doing, Seth?
I'm good.
All right. Well, a crazy week in the whole world this week, but relatively slow on EV news. So we have a couple of news items to discuss with you guys for sure, but we're going to have plenty of time to get into the Q&A section. So at the end of the show, as usual, we like to get your guys' input. So you can put in the comment section right now. It can be about any of the topics that you see on the screen now if you're listening to watching the video, or any other topic in the EV world you want us to discuss. You can put it in the comment section and we'll get to it in about 30, 40 minutes. But we're going to start out right away with Tesla sales numbers for the first month of the year coming out. And a lot of people are tracking that very closely right now because of the Model Y changeover. So the Model Y is by far the best-selling electric vehicle in the world. And now it is transitioning to its new design. And that means transitioning the production line and everywhere. It's the only Tesla vehicle that's built everywhere in Shanghai, in Berlin, in Gigafactory, Texas, and in Fremont. So all these factories are changing over, and that will affect sales. That will affect production, which in turn will affect sales. So we're trying to track that very closely. But then with Tesla right now, you also have this issue of like, all right, how much is the Model Y having an impact? And obviously, any little change to the Model Y in terms of production is going to have a big impact because, like I said, it's not only the world's best-selling vehicle, but it's Tesla's best-selling vehicle by a wide margin. But there's also the Elon Musk effect at the same time. Elon Musk's meddling in politics right now is not helping Tesla's reputation, not helping the credibility, and it's affecting sales. In Europe specifically, so in Europe, we have monthly numbers. In US, we don't know what's happening right now. It's pretty opaque, the market. There's some data. There's a way, just inventory data to get an idea. So we should probably in the next 2 weeks have a little bit of an idea of what's happening with Tesla in the US, but not too much. In Europe, we have everything. So this week, we had basically all the main markets in Europe release their numbers, and Tesla is down on average about 50%, 50.4% to be exact in January versus the same month last year. Some markets are very brutal. Germany down almost 60%, which was the biggest market. France 63%. The UK is the one that's doing the best right now, only 18% down, which is to say a lot. Even though Elon has actually been meddling a lot in UK politics, and his reputation has dropped a lot in the UK based on the surveys. But yeah, it's just not looking good for Tesla in Europe so far this year, and it probably will continue that way, especially with the changeover now happening with the Model Y starting like mid-January, basically. So the impact is going to be even greater probably in February on that side, and there's also always the Elon effect that's harder to quantify.
Yeah, the Elon effect is going to be pretty interesting to watch because he's going to be in the news 24/7.
He is. I mean, he literally cannot shut up. He can't. Australia, also we have some number for Australia, and it's also not looking great. Down 33% to only 739 vehicles. And that's one that's interesting because you cannot blame the Model Y changeover on this one because Model Y sales are actually up versus January of last year. It's the Model 3 sales that are just crashing 63% for whatever reason. So maybe the Elon effect is at play there too. And Australia also has been down all year. It was down 17% last year. And in January 2023, they delivered like 2,000 vehicles in Australia. So going from 2,000 2 years ago to 739. Tesla is having like real demand issues right now. You cannot work around that. It's pretty clear Tesla's having demand issue. But the silver lining for Tesla is China. And today we had the numbers for Tesla in China. And China is a bit different. China, I don't think there is an Elon effect in China. I think that Elon could call his next kid Adolf and they wouldn't care there. Like it would be perfectly fine. But the Model Y effect is a big one because obviously Shanghai is the first one that Gigafactory Shanghai is the first one to do the changeover, and And it's the biggest factory too, and it supplies obviously the local market. So the number came out for January. Tesla built it. So Tesla China, so that includes the vehicle delivered in China and exported overseas from China, 63,238 vehicles. And that's down just 11.5%. So it's not too bad versus the same month last year, compared to 32.5 in December. So it's significantly down December to January, but that always happened because Tesla liquidates a lot of its inventory in December at the end of the quarter for financial reasons. Just it looks good. And then when the changeover happened, fewer inventory, they need to just build that back up. So that number is not really important. It's the 11.5% from last year that's important. And there's a bit of also other things in play too, like obviously the Chinese New Year is always a big thing in the beginning of the year. It resulted in factory shutdown, and Tesla has extended one. We previously reported from January 22nd to February 14th. And there's going to be some partial shutdowns, though. It's not the entire line, but that will definitely affect sales. So I think the impact on Chinese Tesla sales are going to be bigger this month in February. So next month, we're going to have a better idea what's happening. Probably March is going to be difficult too, because the production ramp is a little bit slow at the beginning for the new version of the Model Y. Also, depends what's happening with the current inventory of the previous version of Model Y, just how difficult it is that is to sell compared to people that want the new version, even though the new version is a little bit more expensive. So I don't think there's going to have that many issues to sell the old ones. But yeah, China is what Tesla is keeping Tesla alive now. It's like I think over 40% of Tesla's revenue is coming from China, despite the lower average price per car. And so it's a volume thing.
It's not just sales in China, but also the Chinese Gigafactory seems to be putting out quite a few cars that are making it around the world.
Yeah, and so Europe. So that's the thing with Europe. So Europe is still getting cars from China, from Tesla from China, and the demand is down there. So what Tesla will do with that, we'll see. Tesla has launched recently in some other South Asian, East Asian markets. So maybe they will try to divert some of that production to those markets. We'll see. But I think this quarter is going to be way down for Tesla, I think.
And do you think that'll rattle shareholders, or do you think that it doesn't matter anymore?
I think timing-wise, it should. We already see the stock was down 10% this week. I don't know where it closed, but it's down 20% from its high of last month, and then it's down about 10% this week. I think it will continue to go down as we see just how low volume are going to be this quarter. And then if you look at the trend with the margins has been going down all year last year. No indication that that's going to stop. Tesla is also in China right now, offered another $1,000 discounts on the Model 3, offer 0% or 1% interest rates, which are subsidized by the company. So that's also putting pressure on the company. So if you combine that with lower volumes, Tesla is going to barely break even probably this quarter. And that's going to put an impact on the company, obviously. And now, that's the thing. Similar thing happened this quarter. We talked about it with the earnings last week. It wasn't. I don't think it was as bad as what it's going to be this quarter, but it was pretty bad. It was below expectation of basically every metric from Wall Street, and yet the stock didn't do too bad the last week after that. And a lot of that is attributed to Elon just saying again that full self-driving is around the corner, $1 trillion business with the Optimus and all that, and Tesla shareholders still believe that. So I think as long as Tesla shareholders still believe that, I don't think it's going to be a bloodbath on Tesla stocks. Although when I'm not an economist or anything, but I do fear a broader market crash happening. I think that's a possibility. And with Tesla trading at 180 times earnings per price per earnings, in a broader market crash, those stocks normally take a pretty big beating. So that's something that could happen too. All right. Today also we learned that Tesla increased the price on the Model X by $5,000 on both version, long range and all-wheel drive. But they also put some incentive on it, and it brought back an incentive that Elon said it was never coming back. But we heard that one before, and that's the free supercharging. So
Free supercharging for life, right?
for life, yeah. So Elon has previously said that free supercharging forever is not coming back to any vehicle. It's not a good incentive structure, and that was in 2020. He said that 2018 or so. They started phasing that out on vehicles, not offering it as an incentive to buy, switching to paid models. At first, all Tesla were all Model S, and at a certain point, Model X2 were free supercharging. And then with the Model 3 happening, with the Model Y, the volumes just didn't make sense. So Tesla started to move away from that, but still use it sometimes as an incentive. And then in December, brought it back again as an end-of-the-year incentive. So we're surprised by that because this is a big incentive that Tesla brought, but we knew that Tesla needed them at the end of the year for the reason that I said earlier about reducing inventory. But now we are at the beginning of the year, and also I didn't see any time constraint on this. And it's both, so Model X saw a big price increase, but it's both on Model S and X, and it applies in US, Canada, Puerto Rico, Europe, and the Middle East. So basically everywhere outside of Asia. In markets where Tesla operates, obviously. And there's a few caveats that are different than what it was before. So Tesla says that now it's attached to the Tesla account rather than the car itself. So previously, like my Model S 2012, I have free supercharging for life on it. And if I sell the car to someone else, it still has that. So the value is attached to the car. But with this new version, it's attached to your account. And if you sell the car to someone else, they don't have it. So Tesla has learned its lesson on that. Tesla also says that it's not for commercial use. If you're Uber, taxi, ride-sharing delivery services, you cannot use that. But Tesla said that also in previous version of the supercharging for life. And I mean, it's pretty hard to enforce, especially with like Uber apps and things like that. It's not like you have a title for a taxi or plates of taxi, and even then, I'm not sure if Tesla could actually enforce that. It's obviously very useful for these people. If you're running a taxi service and you can use Supercharger for free, you just increase your margin quite significantly. I still love it on my Model S. Having supercharging for free, not having to think about that. It's nice.
How often do you use it? I mean, is it really?
It's mainly my parents that use the car now, and now that they have their VinFast, they're using it a little less. But when they do long distances, they do use it because it is useful to use the supercharger, and they work for free for that.
Right. So wait, we haven't heard much about the VinFast. Sorry to digress a little bit, but how's that going?
My parents are happy. I need to do a full review of it. Like they've been harassing me about this to try it and do a full review. I should do it when I have some time. I'll get onto that. But my dad is super happy with it, and one thing he's very happy about. So he had some issues, but mostly like software related, and I think with his key fob also had an issue at one point. But they had it fixed fairly quickly, and that's one thing that he's really happy about. Like apparently they take feedback for customers like very well, and they're very proactive into fixing any issues and that. So they feel like well taken care of. A little bit like the early days of Tesla, really. Like when when you have a new automaker, that's one of the concerns that you have. Like, all right, if something happens, like, and my local mechanic's not being able to fix this, so I need to make sure the company's on top of it. And VinFast looks like they're on top of it. So. Good news for Mercedes drivers that they just got access to the supercharger network this week in the US. So all the cars are now with an adapter, obviously, can use the supercharger network. I think they are not giving the adapter, though, if I read the article correctly. Yeah, you have to buy it for $185 at the Mercedes dealership.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, it's not on the expensive side for sure. And the new Mercedes vehicle will come standard with an AX system later this year, like most other vehicle launching in North America. All right, moving on from Tesla news. we have the tariff situation. So the tariff situation was kind of evolved a lot this week. So we talked a lot about it on the last week's podcast as things were being announced on the US side of things. Trump announced tariffs 25% on basically everything except energy. In Canada, energy was 10%. And same thing with Mexico. And then during the weekend, Mexico and Canada responded. And in the case of Canada, it was a 25% tariffs on like $30 billion worth of goods, mainly like grocery stuff and materials and all that. But then that was going to be applied on February 4th, I think, yeah. And another wave 21 days later, because we still have a democracy process in Canada, and we had to open that up to public comments and all that. So for a 21-day period, there were going to be public comments on a proposed $125 billion worth of good, including passenger vehicle, trucks, including electric vehicles, steel, aluminum products, fruit and vegetables, etc. So electric vehicles were going to be included from that. However, a couple of days later, Trump decided to back off for a month. Canada just basically gave him something. So for people that are not really following this tariffs issue, like Trump signed a free trade agreement with Canada on his last term just a few years ago. And now he's basically breaking it with those tariffs. The reason he is officially giving people for breaking it and for not even using Congress through that approval is as an emergency solution for the fentanyl crisis. And he claims that a lot of fentanyl is coming in from Canada into the U.S., even though there's very little evidence of that. I'm sure there's some drugs that from Canada to the U.S., but there's little evidence that this is any significant part of the reason for the fentanyl crisis in the U.S. But that's the reason that he's using. Obviously, I think if anyone is following this closely, it's pretty clear that Trump is using this as an economic pressure on Canada for his goal to make Canada a 51st state of the United States. I think he said that several times, and he said that he was willing to use economic pressure on that. But that's the real reason. So that was surprising because Canada in December announced a $1.2 or $3 billion initiative to reinforce the border. And now, as part of the negotiation this week over the tariffs, Trudeau basically reiterated that that's happening. And then Trump said, all right, that's a win, then we'll back off for a month. Same thing happened with Mexico sending 10,000 troops to the border, something that they already agreed upon a few months ago. So now we are in the clear basically for the next month or so on tariffs. I'm still pushing in Canada for my idea of if they do decide to go forward with these tariffs, because now we have another month. So it's going to be early March that we're going to know if this is going back on or not. If they are going forward, remove the tariffs on the Chinese vehicles and open the floodgate to the Chinese to get all these nice EVs in Canada. That will hurt more than the 25% tariffs, I think. And we know for sure that the Tesla price increase in Canada last week or 2 weeks ago was not because of tariffs, because they haven't changed the prices now that the tariffs are not happening for another month. So clearly that was not it. My dad is in the comments now saying that he loves his VinFast VFA. All right, Nissan had a bad week. The Honda merger is off. So we don't have all the details on this, but there are a bunch of reports from Financial Times and from Japan also that kind of points toward Honda kind of pulling the rug on their Nissan here, and they were like, what was supposed to first be a joint ventures between the two to be able to better transition into the electric vehicle future, change into Nissan, you guys are going to be a subsidiary of Honda, and we're going to be the boss now. So now there's not going to be like a merger of leadership or anything like that. It's just going to be Honda absorbing Nissan, basically. And that didn't work out for Nissan. They were like, nope, we're not doing that. So now they are reopening discussions for mergers, possible mergers with other companies. And I think Foxconn has been mentioned. So Foxconn already met with Renault, apparently, who's one of the biggest shareholder in Nissan. And they are starting conversation about joining forces for the EV business, because Foxconn, I haven't heard much about Foxconn for a while now. Regarding obviously they're famous for their partnerships with Apple and manufacturing Apple products. But you remember a few years ago, they unveiled like a bunch of new electric vehicles, and they were kind of presenting them as like, I don't know if the term white label would apply to this, but it's like, yeah, we make these vehicles, but they could be like your vehicles, just you put your brand on it. But I haven't heard back in a long time.
I hate to say it, but ever since Carlos Ghosn left Nissan, it's not been great. And he didn't leave Nissan; he was kind of forced out.
Yeah,
we still don't have that documentary that we need on that whole escape from.
Yeah, I mean, if the guy can escape Japanese authorities like that in basically a suitcase, he's a scrappy guy. He might be useful to run a company. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, just a few years ago, Nissan brought me to Japan and showed me their entire lineup of electric vehicles, and I got super excited with it. I'm like, hey, this is incredible, bunch of electric vehicles. But then they told me I couldn't even talk about them, and then they never even launched them. So it's like, what's happening, guys? I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I see a bunch of Aria around here, though. They're still around. They're still going. Speaking of, I've never even driven the Aria, though. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a nice car. I'm surprised it hasn't been picked up more. I mean, it's a little bit, the acceleration's not exciting, but the interior is lovely, and it's like, I think if Nissan was doing better overall, I think the Aria would be doing a lot better as well.
Yeah, it does look pretty premium, especially compared to the Leaf. Like it looks like a big upgrade. All right, a few more news items, and then we jump into the comment section. So if you guys have any questions for us, any topics that you want us or take in the EV world right now, you can put in the comments right now. Looks like we're going to have plenty of times to get on that. All right, the GM announced that they are cutting a shift. They are basically, I think, letting go of 800 or so people at their factory in Mexico, where they're producing the Chevy Equinox EV and the Honda Prologue. And they're kind of blaming it on the Prologue a little bit. So they said that Nissan, this change is mainly due to our customer Honda strategy of reducing production volume of the Prologue model. They gave a few other explanations too, say that the adjustment of a mix of production for GM vehicle at the site. So it's not just the Chevy Equinox and Prologue. There's also a few gas cars that are being made there. And Honda didn't confirm the change, but it said it is quite normal for our business to make production adjustments during the year in order to meet customer needs and market conditions. We will continue to carefully manage production inventory in our entire product lineup and meet anticipated demand in 2025. So this happened February 3rd, which the timing is right around when Trump backed off of the tariff, but the tariffs were discussed, and they didn't also fully backed off. They just gave another month before they come into effect, giving basically room for a month of negotiation, I assume. And Mexico was slapped with 25% tariffs, because this is a little bit complex because the Prologue is selling well, like we discussed that before, surprisingly well for us. It's selling better than the Equinox, which is the same car with the GM brand on it.
And CarPlay.
And CarPlay, yeah, CarPlay. That's the thing that people like. Yeah, probably what's helping this sells a lot. So I don't know if this is Honda getting scared of the tariffs, and they're like, yeah, well, it's not, because obviously the tariffs will hurt these vehicle program a lot. If they're 25% more expensive, they'll be too expensive. Period. So that makes sense. So I guess that GM and Honda are proceeding with caution, and they do believe that the tariffs are going to come in place next month. I think that's probably the approach that makes sense here. But it's already like Trump is already hurting sales in the EVs like a lot, obviously, because this is going to be fewer volume available in the US with the Prologue and probably the Equinox too. We got, well, we'll call it a first look, but We've seen that car quite a bit, but I think the latest version of Volkswagen's cheap $20,000 EV. So this thing has been in the work for a long time. It was called the ID Life and then the ID2. Now it's the production version of the ID2 All. I hate the name.
Yep. ID Life is good. I mean,
Life was good, yeah. But I do like the car, though. The car is great. Like, especially like look at the timeline, spacious like a Golf, affordable like a Polo, and it's pretty accurate. So it was just a quick preview for employees, I think. So it's not like a full launch. And it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I $20,000 seems like a low price. I wonder how they're going to get it down that low.
I think it's 20,000 euros. But I think the euro and the USD is like it's equal now.
Pretty close, yeah.
It wasn't the case just not that long ago. They're talking about a range of up to 279 miles and equivalent to 450 kilometers. And it's going to launch 2027? I thought it was 2026.
Maybe it's a 2027 model. Launching in 2026, maybe? I don't know.
Production model in 2027.
Huh.
Maybe. Not clear. All right. And finally, Trump has officially canceled the NEVI charging program, the federal funding for electric vehicle charging. We knew it was coming. He put an executive order in on his first day about it. But now a memo has been transferred to all the states because this is federal money, but it's being distributed through the states. And now the memo reads, therefore, effective immediately, no new obligation may occur under a NEVI formula program until the updated final NEVI formula program guidance is issued and new state plans are submitted and approved. So basically, the money that has been officially attributed now is good to go, but you cannot commit any new amount of money to any of the submitted charging station under the NEVI program. It's not exactly clear how much this is going to, I think it was 5 billion total, the program. It's not clear how much of that money has been completely committed. I'm sure they're going to try to claw back as much as they can. So it's like depending on where it is in the process, it's not clear. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it for the news this week. We can jump into the comment section.
All right, Paul Lackey, some news that I don't know has been noticed much is that the battery company Zerotech Battery Systems just announced that they are going out of business.
Well, I didn't even know it existed, so yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how significant it is.
They came and went.
Zerotech, it's Colorado company. Colorado has a surprising battery tech industry. There's a few companies. Tesla bought a company from there too.
That's where the unique mobility Electrek from the 70s is from as well.
Yeah. They're going way back, but yeah, they had.
I think Colorado State had a really good battery program.
Yeah, I think a few of those startup kind of spin off from that. It's not clear they were producing actually any significant volume for anyone.
All right, Timber 452 says, "Make Tesla great again." Hashtag fire Elon.
Yeah, I didn't discuss that too much in this episode, even though my biggest post of the week was actually Seth. You sent me this Reddit thread from the Tesla Investor Club, where people were basically stoking the idea of removing Elon from Tesla, and those are Tesla shoulders saying that. So it was one of the rare time when you see actually some momentum behind that. And my article on it got very popular, and I got 500 comments on, so people were really excited. But I try not to talk too much about Tesla on the podcast and Elon Musk because I know a lot of people don't like it and everything, even though I think it is a big story. Tesla is the biggest automaker, EV automaker, and its CEO has lost its mind, and the company is suffering from it. Clearly, I think it's a
3.4 today.
What do you say?
Stock price is down 3.4% today.
Yeah, it's down about 10% this week. I think it needs to come down a lot more than that, because that was my main point in the article. Even though I see some momentum within Tesla to remove Elon, within Tesla shareholder, I think most of them are just too afraid of what's going to happen to the stock if you remove Elon, which I agree that stock will probably go down if you remove Elon.
So what
So I
price?
think that the stock needs to go down before that to
Right.
get people, all right, the stock is down anyway, so might as well just remove Elon. And I think that might happen this quarter. I think the stock probably will continue to go down this quarter, especially after the earnings, which the timing is pretty good because you have the earnings in April, and then you have the shareholder meeting in June. And then you have the launch of the unsupervised thing happening around the same time too, which I think is going to be a pretty big mess, and it's going to be like it's going to get a lot of people disappointed. Like a lot of people think that they're going to get unsupervised self-driving in their car by the end of the year, and those people are pretty delusional. But this is not what's happening. It's a geofence launch of a teleoperated fleet, basically, or supervised at the very least by teleoperation in a small area. That's all it's going to be. It's basically going to be a baby Waymo. Tesla launching Waymo just like 5 years behind Waymo.
All right, some more information on Zero Tech that we didn't know about. They were a big up-and-coming name and had a lot of high-profile customers, such as Bobcat. All right.
Yeah, you need you need some battery manufacturer. And also, they were making more battery pack, I think, than battery cells. I don't think they were making battery cells.
All right, Glenn Sullivan from X says Elon is failing in his mission. If he continues to try and fix U.S. politics, he has a loyalty to shareholders, advancing the transition. That's, I think, what I hear a lot from it. Like you said before, it's really surprising. I've never seen that the shareholder Reddit accounts so negative before.
Yeah, it's a Tesla shareholder. So I don't know if you saw last week what happened with the Tesla subreddits too. So there's a new guy, a new mod of the Tesla subreddit that took over, and he consolidated all the Tesla subreddits, like a bunch of them, and
All the positive ones.
except this one, except the Tesla investor ones. That's the only one that he didn't take over. And he basically banned saying anything negative on Elon. Like he cannot talk negative about Elon on all these Tesla subreddit. So I think that's also like it results in a lot of these people that are not super pro Elon going to that subreddit instead. So I think that has an effect too.
All right. Dan Oberstay, if the charging plan is attached to the account, does it apply to both of my cars, or is it just really attached to the car? He's talking about the Model X unlimited charging.
Yeah, no, it's definitely attached to the car, but through your account. And if you sell the car without, maybe you can sell the account. Well, it will have to be like a back deal type of thing. Yeah, it wouldn't work with the registration and all that. Yeah, no.
All right. Say hi to your pops.
Hey, Pat.
All right, DGM. My theory, Elon is self-sabotaging. He wants to be canceled so hard that he can blame the collapsing Tesla company on it. That his company was canceled due to his political views.
I don't know.
He wants out.
I don't know if he wants out. I don't know if he wants to be canceled or things like that. But I do think that for sure he's going to blame like the boycotts attack. And like this quarter, he's going to say like, obviously Model Y changeover resulting in these bad performance with Tesla. But he's also going to say that like all these attacks on everything, he's gonna try to use it as to stoke up some like Tesla like patriotism, basically, where he was like, hey, we're being under attack by these liberals and everything, so like we need to band together and fight back, which probably is gonna work because, like I said, like for a big portion of Tesla shareholders, he can do no wrong. There's nothing wrong he can do. I just posted one shareholder that says, "Are you supporting Elon Musk? I always will." Like,
yeah,
always.
That's the shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, Like there's no one I can say I will always support. Like, it's like, what if they do something like that? Like, no, I don't support that.
And that's really a cult, right?
It is called behavior. Yeah.
Annunciator says, I remember when he was praised for saving the earth. Yeah, it seems like, I was just thinking, like, he had all these friends like Leonardo DiCaprio, and like, are they still talking? Like did he just shut out that whole piece of his life?
I think he lost a lot of friends. And I don't think he has a lot of like real friends that can like, hey, this is stupid. I mean, all these Doge people are like 19 to 25 years old, and they are racist and what. I mean, one of them is actually a confirmed self-declared racist. So it's like a bunch of like incels, nerds. That's who he associates with now.
All right, if Volkswagen wants to sell the ID2 all in the South, they should call it the I Declare Y'all. All right.
Okay, good one, Dan. Good one.
It's a dad joke. All right. I can't post in those Tesla Reddit rooms. I was targeted.
They banned a ton of people. If you say anything bad about Elon, they ban you.
All right. Tom McKee says, any news on the next gen Chevy Bolt on Altium platform? We
had a post. We had an article on that this week. I didn't include it because honestly, it was kind of a stretch to make an article about that, because it was like a quick video of one car undercover for like half a second, and you cannot tell anything about it. So it's not really worth talking, honestly. We know it's coming. We know they're working on it. Hopefully, it's not built in Mexico, because it's going to get some tariffs.
Unfortunately, also, I think they've said that they're going to base it on the EUV and not the EV. So it's the hatchback.
And again, super hard to tell from that quick video and everything. But if I had to tell you, like, maybe it looks closer to the EV than the EUV, I would say the EUV.
All right. Let's see. Thanks for your show. I'll only say that Elon is a Nazi, and I spent time this week boosting the need to get Elon's Doge Joko program eliminated. All right.
Good luck with that. I don't think that I think the president doesn't want that eliminated at all.
All right. Carl continues. Elon never had friends. Peter Thiel was his last one. Good track record.
I mean, Peter Thiel is still his friend, I would assume.
Yeah, I think they're working together on this Doge thing. All right. Our colleague Joe says Fred has Elon's number. Elon is 100% going to frame this as an attack. How is that going to play to the GOP base, though? In Illinois, PDs can get a nearly free electric pursuit vehicle. More than one fleet manager has said to me, we don't want any of that woke electric in our department.
Speaking of Tesla, you said that Tesla is a woke electric?
Yeah, I guess electric.
So that's an interesting point, because I've seen so one of the biggest like Tesla propagandists right now are like the Tesla boomer papa and Tesla boomer mama. Like they are the ones that led like the effort like to get Elon's $55 billion package. Literally, like they spent like almost full time working during that time to get the richest man in the world $55 billion that he appropriated himself through negotiating with a board that he basically owned. But these people have now switched their effort to try to convince conservatives to buy Tesla vehicles, because obviously it's harder to get liberals to buy one these days. Yeah. Or anyone really that doesn't really associate with liberalism or conservative, but just, don't appreciate Nazi salutes. It's an acquired taste, a Nazi salute. And they launched that effort. They were like, all right, let's talk to your conservative friends about getting a Tesla vehicle. And we're like let's boost order and everything. I'm sure it's going to work to a certain degree. But how much? Because like Joe says, like this is the electric vehicle has a long history from conservatives to like not liking them and associate them with wokeism, with like tree hugging and all that. I think Tesla and a few other automakers did a good effort to like walk away from that a bit, not being just about the environment, but just and that's been my point for a long time too. Is like, if you want to build the best vehicle possible today, it has to be electric. There's just nowhere around it. So I think there's already an effort being done on that front, but it's just maybe the Cybertruck helped too, but it's not working well either on that front. Oh, by the way, I didn't post that too because I don't know if it was last week or in the end of this week, but Tesla is now, well, there's a few things that happened with Cybertruck. Now it has access to the federal tax credit. I don't know how much that will help because if you're buying an $80,000 Cybertruck and you can use that tax credit, it's like it's very limited. Like you should probably not buy an $80,000 Cybertruck if you make less than $150,000 per year. But I'm no financial advisor. Anyway, you have the lease have been launched in the US, so that will help a lot more because leases do help people that cannot afford a car to buy a car that they cannot afford or not buy it but lease it. And then Tesla is offering a free wrap for the Foundation Series because they still have, a year later, they still have Foundation Series Cybertruck in inventory that they need to get rid of. So you get a free wrap with it, which is worth like $6,000. So it's not a bad deal. All right, Joe is we have Paul first. We didn't talk about Paul.
The right wingers in the U.S. still hate EVs, even if they love Elon himself.
That's true because Elon doesn't talk about Tesla that much these days too. It's not like he's trying to push Tesla on his new conservative fans. Like maybe if Elon started to do that, that could actually have an impact. But he's not doing it. I don't think he's even posted about the new Model Y since its launch, maybe once. And he tweeted, by the way, 2,000 times over the last week. Right. 2,000 times. And he tweeted about non-Tesla stuff during the earnings last week. In the middle of the earnings call, he tweeted about non-Tesla stuff. Don't tell me he doesn't have a social media addiction.
Right. Do you think that's actually him, or does he have people?
No. He confirmed it after that. He laughed about it that he tweeted.
All right. Joe continued. I reply, but I'm not invited to talk on the show. We're going to have to invite Joe to the show. Yes, even a Tesla to a lot of these guys, electric equals woke bad. They don't make the connection that he's pro-Trump or don't care.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we can invite you, Joe, by the way, but a little shout out at the same time. Joe has his own show on Electrek Daily on YouTube and Quick Charge on most platforms, or maybe both. Like alternatively, the show is called Quick Charge, but the YouTube channel is called Electrek Daily, and he posts almost daily on this.
All right, what will it take to reverse car sales trends?
I mean, EV sales are still growing, most places. So it's Tesla sales that are going down, but they're not going down at a rate high enough because that is impacting the rest of the sales. Like in California, for example, we got the numbers for Q4. Tesla was down in California significantly, but the EV market was up 20%. So that's good. In Europe, there's a few markets where all EV sales are down. That's true, mostly because of incentives going away. That's going to happen in Canada also. I do like the idea of like opening it up to the Chinese. I do like it. I think like if we're going to give up on EVs in North America, might as well open it up to the Chinese.
Yeah. Or what if we said you can only import vehicles under $20,000 because we don't compete there anymore.
Yeah. That I would be okay with that. Maybe not 20, but like 25 or 30 or something like that. Yeah. Maybe 30.
Because we don't build them. So
no.
All right, we got a few more. Mike the Car Geek, what's your opinion on EREVs and PHEVs? Do you consider them a lesser vehicle? Sounds like a large SUV and pickups will get this from Ram, Ford, and Chevy, and also Scout. I personally think they're a good carryover, but like not going to work out in the long run.
Yeah, I think the future is clearly BEVs, like completely like all electric. I'm curious with the Scout one, just because of the specs, and we'll see if it actually makes a difference if people go for a model like that, where it's actually a large EV BEV range, and then the gasoline generator is really kind of more like a backup almost, and basically the contrary of a plug-in hybrids. You know, a plug-in hybrids, if their range is over 50 miles or around 50 miles, and most importantly, where you can actually use the car normally purely on the all-electric one, where like if you go too fast or if it's too cold, whatever, the gas engine doesn't kick in, and you use it properly, meaning you charge it every night. I think it's a great solution. I don't think it's the future of the industry, but I think it makes an impact. It makes actually a great impact.
All right. Joe says if Joe had 11 shows, it wouldn't be enough. He loves attention. All right.
And it's Joe saying that too for people that are just listening to the podcast or not watching the comments.
And Carl says, keep up the good work, Joe. Kenny says, can someone post at the end of each day the number of posts Elon addressed Tesla, number of posts Elon, all other topics? It's usually 0 out of 10.
Yeah. It's not complicated. He doesn't talk about it. He talks about DEI, talks about US aid. That's one of the things, like it's a little tangent here, but I'm not against Doge as a principle. I think there's a lot of fat to trim on the government, on the US government. And if you have an agency that's going to do that, it makes sense to me. So I'm not against the principle of it. The execution of it, I have a lot of issues with it. And starting with US aid, which I'm sure USAID has some issues. I'm sure that there's some waste in it. I don't have no proof, but if you tell me that it's been co-opted by intelligence agencies to further the American agenda in some region, I would not be shocked by it. If you say that there's been some corruption and a certain percentage of their fund have been misused, wouldn't be shocked by it. But I also know for a fact that it has helped thousands, if not millions of people that are dying from hunger and they've been saved by USAID. Like, that's all out there. And then if I'm like a government efficiency guy, I'm like, all right, where do I go first? Do I go against the U.S. military budget that hasn't been balanced in the decades? Do I go against the billions of dollars of fraud that's been made through the Trump's COVID program loans? Where do I start? No, I'm going to start with the agencies that feed hungry people around the world. That's where I'm going to start with. Like, that's where you lost me there.
Same. All right. Mark Ferris says slow EV growth is okay. Doesn't have to grow at the same in every market. Yeah.
Tell that to Norway.
Yeah. As a PHEV owner, I can say they are awesome. Yeah, it's certainly. I think it's kind of like training wheels. Like if you're not ready to take a EV, get one with 40 miles of range. Realize you don't need it. You don't need the gas part, and then your next car will be a full EV.
That's generally what happens.
Yeah. Electra Brian says, what part of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, does Elon not like? I think it's all three of those. I think it's all.
Yeah, I think he doesn't like that that his name is not, that he cannot do an acronym with his name with that, with those words. He loves his acronyms. Dan says, Donald, Elon, incompetence. Oh, you did it. There you go. Just as I was saying, we made the same joke almost at the same time. All right, well, that's it for us this week, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. I know it was a shorter one this week. There's just January is just not that much EV news out there. It starts to pick back up around March, so the next few weeks might be like that. But we still have some fun. I think we still enjoy it. And later this month, I'm going to Sweden to drive all the Polestar lineup on ice. So that should be interesting. I'm going to report that on that. I'm going to try not to get sick because it's like a crazy, quick trip with a bunch of flights and everything. But I'll get there. I'll do my best. And we're going to have a lot of things to talk about, I'm sure. So stay tuned for that. And I will see you same times next week. Bye-bye.